second channel. All right, we're live on Springfield Game Time. This is Game Time with Doc, Lurch, and Greg. Right below me is Greg Pullman, Director of Tabletop Gaming for Eclectic Endeavors. People bring you Gaming Arts Media Entertainment Expo, and below him we have Philip Landergan, our co-chair and Director of Electronic Gaming. And of course, I'm Doc, or Clyde Starr, and I am the Director of Cross Promotions and Panels this time around for Eclectic Endeavors. We're getting ready to start our show. We're going to do a sound check real quick, and we're going to kind of jump right in. Try not to go over time, although we tend to do that every week. Give me a second while I get over there. Okay. We have the Steam Manager and check 1 2. Check 1 2.
Check 1 2.
Check 1 2.
Check 1 2.
Check 1 2.
Check 1 2.
Check 1 2.
Check 1 2.
Check 1 2.
Check 1 2.
Okay, we're getting all of you in. I like that beep thing you got going on there.
The language of my people.
What are you like? My assistant Beaker. Yeah, just closing out some messages that were sitting on the top of my screen. Okay, we've got that out of the way, and they're sounding good. So we're going to dive right in. First off, before we get into anything else, I did want to mention one small thing I already told my co-host about. Just recently found out, like within the last 30 minutes or less. No, that's not the one I want. This one. Okay. Adam Daigle, who's one of the higher ups with Paizo. He works with RPG development and Pathfinder, is away from home, and he had some major medical issues. And because he's away from home, his insurance and stuff isn't covering a lot of it. So he's doing a lot of out-of-pocket. So there is a GoFundMe started by BJ Hensley, which is, he's RPG royalty. He's been around for years and years. And it's to help cover his medical costs while he's away. And it's just, we want to help him out. I don't know all the details, but you can find extra details on the GoFundMe. They're trying to raise, it looks like $30,000, and they're about 2/3 of the way there. So their GoFundMe is doing a lot better than mine ever did. But if you get a chance, go to GoFundMe and check that out. I will put the link in our chat. Oh, that's the other thing I forgot to do. Let me open up our chat. Yeah. See, got so fixed on that I didn't even open the chat yet. Okay, there's.
It's hard to be social when you don't see what people are saying, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's one of the things we're trying to do is spread awareness and be social and interact and letting people make comments and stuff. Let's see here and paste. So that's the GoFundMe link in my chat. And feel free to copy that over to the Springfield Expo chat if you'd like there, Philip. I'm going to go back to our starter screen, though. Anyway, right. For now, we can go ahead and do more of our intro stuff. For those of you who don't know, we're part of the Eclectic Endeavors. We put on Gaming Arts Media Entertainment Expo and the Picnic at the End of the Universe and a few other things throughout the years here in Springfield and the surrounding Ozarks to promote the educational side of our nerdy hobbies. And there's a lot of them. I mean, it's not just comic books or just cosplay or just video games. I mean, we've got tabletop gamers. We've got voiceover actor types. We've got prospective authors who are getting ready to try to publish their works. you know, we got people trying to do stop motion photography or actual acting, and we're trying to just promote all of these kind of things because, you know, in the old days, you got into these kind of hobbies and you didn't necessarily see a future in it. But nowadays, you know, that person who's working for the with the like costuming guild of the Ozark right now might later on be doing costumes for the next Star Wars feature with Industrial Lights and Magic, or designing the next Marvel superhero costume, you know, or somebody might go to work for Jim Henson Studios and build the next animatronic sensation. So we kind of want to spread that around. Because game hasn't been happening for the last couple of years because of COVID, we wanted to build this channel to try to touch bases with everybody. And you'll see us here every week from 8 to 10, except Greg's missing the third week of every month to go to Holdfast Brewing Company and share some board games with you and some what they call puzzle fighting, where everybody gets the same puzzle kind of thing and race to see which team can put the puzzle together first. And they enjoy some microbrews and some excellent food over there at Holdfast Brewing Company in good company. So we're still out there in the neighborhood. We're still trying to build everything we can. And we're going to go ahead and jump into topics like right off the bat so we maybe don't go over for once. I doubt it. We're still going to go over it. We know how we are. But
I'll try to keep it light.
Yeah. The first topic we have is Midnight Suns with Lurch. Usually starts us off. Go ahead, Lurch.
All right. So, we had, you know, Gamescom and all that happening last week. One of the games that was announced was Marvel's Midnight Suns, which they just put out. You know, they just put out some more information today that kind of went extended gameplay walkthrough. We can't walk through the whole video here today, but it gave us a look at how the game is going to run. And it's made by the same developers who made the XCOM series, which I admittedly have never played an XCOM game myself, but they are very popular strategy, tactical strategy type of game. And so there's a lot of promise that, you know, with it being in the hands of the right kinds of developers. Now the new information I learned today is that there's going to be basically a card system where you'll basically have cards that you use with different abilities with each of the heroes. Now, I really like the thematic Midnight Suns thing. It's like the darker characters. It's Blade, it's magic, it's
the more
Strange.
Supernatural, dark, under the shadows types, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really loving that style, of that being like kind of the focus of it. The main villain is Lilith, the first demon, and you get to create your own hunter character that is helping to fight Lilith. So the story sounds really neat. The art style I like, the aesthetic and the angle of it being this darker tone, you know, this darker magic stuff. I really love. I'm a little weary of the card mechanics. They said there won't be loot boxes, and that's something that had me worried about it, is the loot box system. But apparently there won't be a loot box system in this, so I guess you won't be opening packs of cards to get stuff. Hopefully that's... What's that?
Yeah. I saw a little link for this game. I heard about this earlier today for the first time, and it said something about microtransactions, and I didn't read the article, so I didn't know if that was like, ooh, I hope there's not microtransactions, or there might actually be. But
yeah,
especially in a deck building game, that's always a danger.
Yeah, it's a primary income
that's some
source,
of the stuff I'm concerned about.
But some of this artwork is fantastic. I love this dragon dog kind of thing going on here. This hellhound, and the picture of Blade with this S-shaped blade is just amazing. I love this artwork.
And Ghost Rider, I think.
Yeah, there's a Ghost Rider picture there.
Ghost Rider. Yeah.
That one, yeah.
Now they say that they currently say the microtransactions are purely cosmetic.
Okay, that's
preferable.
And shouldn't, yeah, instead of impacting the gameplay, it's supposed to be purely cosmetic.
Yeah, now
that was information that just came out a couple hours ago.
Now, if you can buy card packs by earning in-game credits of some kind, that's fine because that's an in-game
Yeah,
transaction, and it's the. But I don't want it to translate into microtransactions. I don't want you to be able to buy
right.
more in-game
I
credits, for instance,
I
in order
don't.
to
Yeah, I don't want
superpower
to
your
be.
guy.
I don't want to be using real money to buy better abilities, and I don't want the upgrades to be like random packs, like so many today's games get. So there are
Mhm.
some things that has me a little concerned, but if they keep their word and that microtransactions are in fact purely for cosmetic purposes, then it might not be so might be fine. Um, I I'm also, besides even the microtransactions, I'm a little bit reserved on using cards for gameplay. Like some games I've seen do that really well, some games not so well.
It almost always ends up
It's
making
not
it
my
a random pack kind of thing. So, and you already
yeah,
expressed your
yeah.
dislike of
So
that.
right, but besides the random pack thing, the if you're using a card system while playing, then I think that means what moves you have in each match is going to be randomized. I think that picture you have there is from an ad that it's an advertisement that started to play when you go to the
Yeah.
website.
Yeah.
Um, anyway,
I can
the
speak to that a little bit because I've been playing deck builders for quite a bit. I just finished playing Steam World Quest Hand of Gilgamesh on the live stream last week, and that can be a danger. But usually, depending on the size of the deck, the round to round action will bear out because you're playing against the averages, and if you're going through your entire deck every 3 or 4 or 5 rounds, then it kind of evens out. And you
yeah,
might have things where maybe the deck is shuffled, but your character has special abilities that aren't represented just by cards, but like this character adds bonus damage to all their hit cards, or this character has the opportunity to discard and redraw a card or two every turn, or things like that. Things
Or
yeah,
to
the
mitigate the randomness.
yeah.
cards themselves also like help you build up certain energy pools
They,
that you can spend
they
on your
also
personal abilities.
in this video, in this walkthrough that they provided, they also showed how there's times you can spin in the game that's not in combat, where you're like at your home or at your base, hanging out with the other characters, building relationships with those characters, which then unlocks more powerful cards, more
That's
powerful
cool.
abilities. So that could be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, I'll say I'm cautiously optimistic. I
It
got
was
super excited at the concept of a Midnight Suns game and a Doctor Strange and this kind of dark
well,
magic
yeah,
stuff.
because I loved the Midnight Suns when they first came out in comic book form. Because the
So I'm really
original one
cautiously optimistic.
was Blade and Ghost Rider working together.
And this game comes out in March, so we don't have very long to wait.
Oh, right around my birthday, March 3rd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
And there's also been enough good deck building video games like Slay the Spire, and I think Xenoverse is the other one I've played, Nanoverse, something like that. Like they should have this as an industry. They should have this formula down to
Yeah.
where
Well,
you don't
yeah,
have to lean on microtransactions or random booster packs worth of resources.
Yeah.
yeah. There are
And
some
again,
great.
this is being made by a team that has a history of successful, popular strategy games. So if anyone can pull this off, it sounds like this is the team that can pull this kind of a game off.
And they
Is
can
this
pull
the
from
same
real world.
company that did XCOM, or
Yeah,
are they just kind of borrowing that? Oh, they are cool.
yeah.
And then
I've
there's a
not played
lot.
XCOM. I'm not an expert in what they do, but I know that they're a very popular series of games and
I've
strategy types.
I've never played an XCOM game. I've played an XCOM-ish game. I played Mario and Rabid Kingdom, or whatever it's called, Kingdom Rush or
Yeah,
something, whatever,
yeah.
Yeah.
that
I know
weird
what
one.
game you're talking about. I know what game you're talking about on the Switch. Well, it was on the Wii U, I think, at first, and then put on the Switch. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Either way.
it was good.
But yeah, and
Was
they've
it?
got also
Was
the
it?
real world deck builders to draw from for strategy too. I mean, there's some amazing
Oh yeah,
stuff they can pull
Yeah.
from like Ascension, Dominion, and Clank that could really accent what they're doing because those all did different things with deck building that were great and did not involve random packs
Yeah.
per se.
Yeah. So, I'm keeping an eye on it. I'm looking forward to it, and right now I'm on a probably I'm right now I'm planning on buying it, but I'm keeping a close eye on to see how things shake out as we get closer to launch.
I would like to
But
see it
I
and
think
play
that looks really
before
interesting.
I got it, but I'm
Yeah,
cautiously optimistic too.
yeah.
Okay. Next up, we're going to jump right out of that to our next topic, which should be Greg's Blades in the Dark RPG.
Yeah, Blades in the Dark is a tabletop RPG that is a derivative of the Powered by the Apocalypse system. It's been a thing for a few years. What's happening now, apparently, is that it's getting a TV series adaptation. So right on the heels of what we talked about a little bit last week, the D&D, the new D&D movie, and
Right.
wasn't there an animated series too?
And we were
Or
talking
was it
about
just the
some stuff
movie?
for Magic the Gathering animated
Magic was getting
series.
an animated series. Yeah.
Yes.
So right on the tail of that, Blades in the Dark is getting a TV series adaptation. It's being produced by a company called Warp Films. I recognize a couple of the titles, but I've never seen any of their
Warp
work.
Films. That
But
sounds
I
so familiar.
but I know Blades in the Dark's aesthetic. I've played it a couple of times. I played a couple one shots at cons, and I've read the book, the core rule book, and the the noir Victorian, not horror, but kind of Dickensian desperation. You play a crew that gets together and does crimes, and you can pick what your kind of professional theme is. You can be thieves, you can be assassins, you can be smugglers, what have you. But just looking at the thumbnails from the other projects that Warp Films has produced, it looks like they're the right people to lean on for that kind of bleak tone.
Put a lid on it. Still not up to boil yet?
John Harper shared an article from Screen Daily. I tried to follow the link on the Dicebreaker article, but it gave me a 404 site not found. So I couldn't get more insights onto the production, except that it's a thing and it's happening. I'm trying to remember. Did they even give? I don't think they even gave a release date, except probably
As soon as it
sometime
starts
next
boiling, you're
year.
supposed to put a lid on and drop the temperature. As soon as it
Yeah, there's
starts
currently
boiling,
no
you're
set
supposed to
release.
do it. You're not supposed to let it
There's
sit and
currently no
boil
set
for a
release
while.
dates.
You want it to steam.
But if you're a fan of heist movies or heist shows, or the RPG itself, I'm optimistic for this one because it's not as well known a property as D&D, so they can't afford to lean as hard on just the power of the IP. Like they're actually going to have
Right.
to put some work into this.
And I
So
apologize for
I'm
that
hoping that
side
turns
talk.
out well. That's all right.
Just trying to make sure that the kid
Just
gets
trying to
dinner
go.
done right.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to hit in the overview points of what the theme of the game is and what the show might be going for.
Right, actually.
I've heard
The mute
people.
button exists too, Doc.
I know, but with me, because
Just
I'm
a
hosting
reminder.
everything, I have to mute like in 2 different places, then remember to come in and unmute in 2 different places.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard steampunk or ghostpunk used to describe it. I don't think either of those are accurate because there's nothing punk about the setting. There's no intrinsically anti-authoritarian overtones. You're just a crew trying to get jobs done and trying to get by. It's more like Firefly, but in Victorian England, and also there's some light fantasy horror elements.
So it's
That
like
sounds
what you
cool.
would call, because they call Fireflies cross between like a space opera and a spaghetti western. This would be a steam opera and spaghetti opera, or spaghetti Victorian.
Maybe, or like Firefly, but with maybe a Van Helsing aesthetic.
I would just call it gothic noir, but that's me.
Gothic is the right term.
Yeah, gothic noir is
dig it.
probably what I'd call it. Okay, well we'll have to keep an eye out for that. Any other comments on that
What was the
before we
name of
move
that
ahead?
again? Blades in the Dark?
Blades in the Dark.
Yeah.
And they've
When's
got
it
the
coming
credits.
out?
There's no release date for the show. The game's been out since 2017, and it's popular. It's a spin-off of the Powered by the Apocalypse system, but it was successful enough in its own right that it's had spin-offs of its own system that are collectively known as Forged in the Dark games.
Okay.
Nice. It's nice when you see
Cool.
something like that, get its second and third generation kind of spin-offs going.
Mhm.
Okay, well, we'll move ahead, but keep that on everybody's watch list. See, okay, there's a new Kickstarter getting ready to launch. It hasn't quite launched yet, but it is the Level Up Advanced 5th Edition system. It's a 2-book set that basically takes your 5th edition game and kind of levels it up to a higher trend. Actually, I wish I had the thing that linked me to this because it had more details about the books and stuff. Because this one doesn't have nearly as much as what the other one did. But I already closed that other page. Um, but they compile everything. They put the DM and the player handbook stuff all in one book called just Core Rule Book. And then they make a monster manual. And then I think they've got a perspective third book coming out with stretch goals if they get it. But it's not quite launched yet. It's an upcoming project which will basically allow people to take their 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons game to another level. Using the OGL license to produce in the 5th edition world, so they are still kind of under certain restrictions, and they have to pay some homage to Wizards of the Coast, of course. But if you go to levelup5e.com, in fact, maybe let me go there and see. It might be better than their Kickstarter page for giving us details. I'm just going to overwrite this and take us there. Here we go. Much better. Level Up Advanced 5th Edition. Yeah, here's the 3 perspective books. You can notify me on launch. I've already got that. Core Rule Book, Monsters Menagerie are the 2 basic books. And then there's Mythological Figures and Maleficent Monsters is a 3rd book that they're possibly going to be coming out with. It adds depth without overly adding extra to the complexity. Character sheet, as you see, is actually, if anything, more basic than the regular 5th edition sheet. It's really kind of streamlined. And you got some diversity. So it brings in the new modern thing about trying to add diversity into everything. But hopefully, as far as I'm concerned, they build it in such a way to where they're all optional, so people can still do a more traditional game if that's what the whole party wants. But like there's an encounter building preview where you can see like encounter building charts to help you build out your encounters. Let's see what else. Join a community, sign up for news, level up, see the survey results, read all about level up. Okay. We got monster tools, multi-class feats, feature lists, unveiling our new logo. Yeah, I don't care about that. But the feature list would be something that would be really interesting to us. New features, fully compatible with 5th edition material, standalone core rule book, diverse team, cultural consultants, and representative content, open gaming license and free compatibility logo, robust online tools. That's nice to see because one of the keys to success of 4th and then 5th edition was their online tool sets. And now to see an advanced book that also is going to come up with its own tool set to support it, that's going to help it out. More and more people are going the digital route. Depth without adding extra complication with an emphasis on choice. Race separated into heritage and culture. That's a nice way to put it. 8 heritages, 34 cultures, and 21 backgrounds. 10 destinies for character motivation and goals that embrace the inspiration mechanic. Heritage Paragon traits at 10th level. A choice between 2 or more heritage gifts for each heritage. New martial class provides support, tactics, and non-magical buffs. New spellish range classes with strong wilderness features. Over 35 new archetypes covering every class. Improved capstones featured at 20th level. Meaningful choices every time you level up. That's a big one. A lot of people say that certain levels in 5th edition just are kind of lackluster because you barely do anything more than add some hit points. So giving them a few choices at every level is going to make people feel more involved when the character goes up in power level.
Yeah.
All the classes can operate in all 3 pillars of the game, which is a big feature of 5th edition. More than 80 individual distinctive weapons. Now that's nice, especially if they give them enough differences in how the weapons work to where there's more than just a roleplay reason to pick between 2 similar weapons.
Yeah.
You know, because right now a lot of people just go with the generic like long sword and shield because hey, they're optimal for their build, or they go with the great sword for the damage, and you know nobody ever thinks to two-handed wield the long sword, even though it's a versatile weapon. And it's great sometimes when you need to do more damage and defend yourself. You throw your shield away, grabbing that two-handed grip, and go katana on them. New shield and helmet types, new weapon armor customization, plus shield customizations, new weapons and armor materials. Adventure and Guild plenty. I mean, there's more and more and more, and more and more and more and more and more. Yeah, we would be here all day if I wanted to list it all. So I think I had to curtail myself there. It really, it's got me excited. I don't know. I mean, I know, Philip, you're not as much of a straight role player as me and Greg are, but I bet this is something that appeals to Greg too. Always like new ways to look at our games and see how we can like level up our game at our table. Of course, I also like to just bring more role play to the table to level it up as well. We don't always have to rely on the books to do that for us.
If I ever got a 5th edition character above level 2, I might have more to say. But
right? There is that. I mean, they try to say that you can't die in 5th edition, but you can die in 5th edition. Plus, you got to get a group going long enough.
Oh yeah, dying isn't the problem. It's getting a group to meet more than like once a month.
Yeah, or once or twice before the
Yeah.
end. Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is, with COVID, it's still been kind of dicey on getting everything really rolling again on that, because I've not gamed since the last time we did an online game right after COVID started, and we decided, my groups decided that the online thing wasn't for us in that respect.
Yeah.
We like to look at each other in the eyes and stuff.
I've played 5th edition just a small handful of times, and they were just one-shots.
Right.
One of those deliberately a one-shot. The other ones effectively became one-shots because we met once and then the
never
group
could bring
didn't
everybody
get back
together again. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's been a problem with D&D since its inception in '74.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you how many times we did that when I was a kid. Especially, I had friends who every time a new game came out, they wanted to drop what we were doing and go play the new game. I was like, but we just started.
Yeah.
And I wanted to continue my characters, and they wanted to go try the flavor of the month. I was like, we can put that off for a little bit. Let's go.
I think in RPGs, tabletop D&D type games, I think the highest level I've ever gotten is 9, and that was by far my most played campaign.
Oh, I've gone up to some of the highest levels, but a lot of times,
yeah,
I've also had to be in games where they started at a mid to high level just to get to those high levels because nobody wanted to play through the low levels anymore. And that's where I have the most fun. Is when I establish my character. Okay. Anyway, yeah, we're diverging. and
Yeah.
stuff. So we're going to go ahead and move on from this unless Greg has any other comments on it. But probably
Not at the
not
moment.
since he never goes past second level like he said. But it is exciting news, and I'll keep you updated on when I hear it starts.
Sounds like some really cool stuff. If I was playing D&D right now, I'd probably be pretty thrilled for it because it
Oh
does look
yeah,
really
I mean,
like
and there
some really
was so
cool
much
updates.
when I gave up reading the list verbatim and just started scrolling down. I'm like, oh my god, we don't have time for all this. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So let's see what happens. Next should be No More Heroes 3, and that's on you, Philip.
Yep. Okay, so No More Hero 3's just come out a few days ago, and we've got some reviews. I haven't played the No More Heroes games, but they always kind of intrigued me. They always looked exciting.
I
That's
don't think
what
I've
got
heard
me.
of any of them.
That's what caused me to look into it a little bit. You not heard of the new one,
I don't think I've heard of the series.
or of them in the past?
I
Ah,
don't. Yeah,
so
I'm
it
not familiar
was.
with the franchise.
They were Wii games back in the day. So it's been a long time since number 2 came out.
Mm,
So 1 and 2 were Wii games, and then I think there was a spin-off game that they made, and now they're all available on the Switch. You can get all the older games on the Switch these days. But yeah, No More Heroes 3 just came out. It's this like high action kind of game. I know the old ones use the Wii remotes to wield your sword, which your sword kind of looks like a lightsaber. um,
what?
Anyway, so I just kind of want to bring this up. I was looking into this game a little bit myself because I always thought that they looked cool, but I never got around to getting them or playing them, right?
Right.
And this new one, No More Heroes 3, it's getting pretty decent reviews. There's a little bit of mix in there, but overall pretty decent reviews. Like this particular one at Game Informer gave it a 7.75.
It's not bad.
I was listening to a podcaster named Blessing Adeyoye Jr. over at Kind of Funny Games, who's a huge fan of No More Heroes, and so I had to find out what his take was on it. And he agrees with this reviewer here. If you're a fan of the older games, then you're gonna like this game. But if you haven't played No More Heroes, they recommend you start with the other games. You start with one of the older ones.
Well, I do
I
have the
haven't
Wii.
played the No More Heroes games. I've heard good things about them though. I was trying to remember there was a reason that that title had pinged me, and it was Goichi Suda, who's also known as Suda51. I've played a couple of
Yeah,
his games, just not this series, but I've heard good things.
yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
they
cool.
say, the game. Yeah. So the kind of the big thing. Um, they talk a bit. The reviews I've seen basically say they pretty much agree. It has some high highs and some low lows. The highs, outnumber the lows, but
Well, that's
so
good.
like the bread and butter of what makes the game great is the style, the wackiness, and the boss fights. Apparently, the games have amazing boss fights. But what you do in this game between boss fights gets mundane,
A little bit tedious,
and it's like you're just doing simple, yeah, like tedious, mundane
like fetch quest and
mini
stuff.
games.
Fetch quest and mini games. Yeah.
Yeah, like yeah, in between the big boss fights. And I guess in the No More Heroes 1 was really bad with the in between stuff. And then No More Heroes 2 got better and it made better mini games and less of
So,
less time spent on things in between. Because as I understand it, you have to like go around this open world and earn money so that you can then pay to fight the boss.
so
And
I didn't know that.
also in the previous games they had some kind of a sequence where you're fighting a whole bunch of people that have some sort of connection to that boss that really kind of ramp up the excitement into the boss fight and it adds to the action. And there's not so much of this. It's more quickly jumping into the boss fight, not given as much time to kind of pad it out with the high action stuff.
right.
And so the second game improved on things, and in the third game, going back to how the first game was with longer, mundane chores in between the awesome battles.
So they got to work on their connector material, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So, like in this one here, they say, no more heroes, cutscenes, and boss battles. It's also, they say that it's got awesome, cool cutscenes. Are worth the time investment alone. Its highs greatly outweigh the lows, and provide plenty of fun for those who stick it out until the end. Boss battles are beautiful and fluid, but the open world in between is flat and drab with frame rate problems.
That's not good.
Yeah, the game suffers. No More Heroes 3 suffers from performance issues, but it's full of fun game references and stylish scenes. So, basic concept: your character is named Travis Touchdown, and you're defending Earth against 10 ranked alien assassins who want to conquer the planet. So, it sounds like it's got some exciting stuff, but and this game itself is about 15 hours long. Not a very high replay value. So it says moderately low replay value, and that's, but it says, if you're a fan of the series, if you're a fan of Suda 51 styles, and these like kind of cool, slick styles, it's definitely worth playing, but to play the old ones first before you get into this one.
What little I
And
know
I guess
about the actual gameplay from No More Heroes is from not even review videos, but outside Xbox list videos, where it's like the seven weirdest boss battles, or 7 times where a boss tricked you into getting yourself killed or something.
Oh yeah. Me
But
personally, go ahead.
But the action does look consistent with the other games of theirs I've played.
Yeah.
So yeah, I personally don't. It does have me interested in trying to go back and play the old ones. I don't think I want to personally pay full price for this one, but it's hard to say until I get to play the old ones.
Yeah.
But
I stop by Steam every once in a while and see if No More Heroes is on the cheap, but it's base 20.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
So yeah, the old ones should be easy and cheap to get these days.
Yeah.
Came out in like 2007 or something. It was a Wii game.
Right.
Sounds right.
I have a Wii U, but
Yeah,
I don't have the nunchuck controllers, so I'd have to get the nunchuck controllers to make that work. I always thought that was the thing is the Wii was supposed to be all about those nunchuck controllers, and then they didn't make a lot of games that really, I thought, used them as to their best ability. I wanted to see people doing like lightsaber and nunchuck battles with the nunchuck controllers.
Well, don't swing it like an actual nunchuck. That's a way to break something. Hold it by the nunchuck and swing the other one around.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess that's all I got to say about No More Heroes.
And a fork. Okay, well, let's go on to the next one then. All right, let's see here. And the Power Rangers RPG, that's on you, Greg.
Yep. Yeah, this is from Tech Raptor, but there were also announcements on the Renegade website. They're going all out. They're developing a proprietary D20 system of their own. They were apparently trying to do an OGL style game, but they decided to go their own route, and they're going to use it for Power Rangers. They officially announced the Power Rangers on August 30th. 2 days later, today, they announced the Transformers role-playing game that's going to use the same system, and according to the Tech Raptor article, they're also going to do adaptations for G.I. Joe and My Little Pony. So they're going all out with the Hasbro property.
Yeah, it sounds like a total Hasbro fest. Now there used to be a Power
They're going
Rangers.
ham on that.
There used to be a Power Rangers live Twitch broadcast that even featured Bulk from the original Power Rangers as one of the players.
Cool.
Because back when Twitch, I was first starting to notice Twitch broadcasts, I used to jump in and watch them play a little bit of Power Rangers. And every once in a while, they'd have a guest come on, like Tommy or Jason. But Bulk was there as a regular character.
It looks like they're using the early seasons as the lore basis for the game. If you're doing a pre-constructed adventure or trying to start up your own game, I suspect they'll have pre-generated characters for the first couple seasons worth of Rangers, but they're also going to have rules to create your own Sentai team.
Nice. Did you know the first season of that show had 60 episodes?
That makes sense.
I did not.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't.
I watched it religiously as a kid, so I guess it all just blurred together.
60
well, it wasn't
episodes
a weekly.
season one.
It was a daily show. That was on 5 days a week instead of once a week. Ooh, wait a minute!
Though.
Power Rangers themed dice.
Oh
yeah,
shit!
I'm not impressed with the look of the dice. Maybe they'll polish them up, but they're regular dice sets, except they have the Power Rangers Thunderbolt in place of the highest face on each die. But they're $15 a set. If you do want the dice set, you can pick one, or I guess buy multiples.
I would like to see, instead of the lightning bolt,
$15 for a set.
Put the Dino coin on the D20. That would have been really good. If they'd have put the original Dino coin as the 20 on the D20. Because I would I'd totally get the woolly mammoth.
It does say there's a coin based on their respective Zords, so the coin you see is part of the dice set also. I don't know if it's a metal coin or a heavy cardboard or plastic. I imagine it's a plastic or a resin coin.
Right.
But maybe you can buy a premium version that's an actual metal coin. The dice don't even come with a dice bag. The dice bag, complete with the iconic lightning bolts, is another $15. So they're really milking it for this. But the base game itself sounds pretty reasonable. It looks like they're going for $55 for the core rulebook. I looked at the Renegade website. They also have I'm going to click this link and see how ungodly expensive this is. They have a slipcase version that has 6 copies of the core rulebook, one colored for each ranger with a gold inlay of the helmet for each ranger.
Ooh, fancy.
Power Rangers RPG Deluxe 6-player core rulebook set pre-order, $300, which is $50 a book. That's actually not bad.
No, that's not bad for what you're getting.
A table full of
diehards.
Yeah, if you're a collector or if you have enough people to justify buying all those books.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's not too bad a price. The $15 per set of dice is a little bit
especially
excessive.
Since they're not much more than any other jewel dice. As far as impressiveness.
They really are. They look like standard resin dice, which most even high quality reputable dice vendors, you can get a good set of resin polyhedral dice for $10 tops.
$8 to $10, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a dice goblin.
And other than the lightning bolt, it's the same as any other colored dice.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I don't know anything about the game mechanics except the D20. I think it's actually a 2D20 system, which makes me think they're... I don't know if it's a spin-off of the Fallout system, because the Fallout system was produced by a different company, but that was also a 2D20 system. But Renegade has a Twitch channel that I'm subscribed to, and I check in every now and then to see what they're up to. I'm sure they're going to be doing live stream or YouTube videos to promote the game, so I'll have
It
to do
says
some
it covers
research and see
the entire
how.
Zordon era.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Oh, the whole Zordon era.
that's going to be
That's
Power
the first
Rangers and
6 seasons.
Turbo. Yeah, Power Rangers and Power Rangers
Uh,
Turbo.
Power Rangers Zeo, Power Rangers in Space.
Hmm.
What am I missing? I'm missing something. Mighty
Uh,
Morphin, Power Rangers Zeo, Power Rangers Turbo, Power Rangers in Space. Yeah, no, that's it.
Ninja.
Because Mighty Morphin was the first 3 seasons.
I think
Mhm.
that's all I watched.
Yeah. So, that's a long ways in.
Well, there was Ninja
That's
Storm
6
too.
years of Power Rangers. Yeah, Ninja Storm was way later, past. That was after Zordon died.
Right.
And they've had good success with proprietary stuff before. The article rightly cites Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid as being well received. I bought that game at Gen Con, and it's a good co-op game. It takes a bit to put together, but I haven't had much difficulty teaching people how to play it.
We played it.
And
I played it with you once, and we did lose. We lost to the board. The monsters overtook the city.
It's wicked hard to win, but I don't think the teaching aspect was
Yeah,
was
no,
that bad.
it wasn't hard to learn. It was just a hard game to win.
Mm.
Angel Grove got
there's
destroyed.
there's nothing wrong with it being hard to win. I mean, that just keeps you challenged.
Oh no,
Mhm.
yeah, that's like
As long as it's
Pandemic. The
possible
board
to
game
win.
is
Yeah, nobody
yeah.
wins
Yeah.
Pandemic
Pandemic the board
hardly.
game is iconic of that kind, and I win that game like 30% of the time, maybe.
You're doing good. Yeah, most people don't make that 30% mark. I think the highest I've heard
I
is
should get
someone who
Heroes of
said,
the
"What now?"
I should get Heroes of the Grid out again. I don't think I've finished painting all the putty patrollers, let alone the villains.
Well, I know the highest I've heard most people on Pandemic say is they win about 15% of their game, so 3 and 20.
I guess I'm not playing enough expansions.
That could be it too. All right, well, we'll keep an eye out for that then as well. So some great RPG stuff to keep an eye out on. Okay, next up. All right, Humble Bundle. Now, I know we got a lot of aspiring programmers out there, and they've got a new Humble Bundle that's all about Python. It's the Python Superpower Software Bundle. And you can actually pay $25 for all 21 in the bundle, or there's a 14 item level and a 7 item level of the bundle. If you really want to go in and learn some of the newer language stuff, Python is one that's still being used quite a bit today. I never got to learn Python. I'm pre-Python by quite a bit. But I saw this in one of my Humble Bundle emails, and I was like, oh, wow. This would be something that our viewers might be interested in, because we got a lot of aspiring programmers, web developers, and stuff that would really like to dig into some of the newer technologies. I mean, we get into randomly trying to learn everything here. I mean, we talked about some of us learning languages on Duolingo, learn Python, learn how to draw Marvel Comics. I mean, it doesn't matter. We like to learn new stuff. We're all about learning,
Yeah.
And so I thought this would be a really neat Humble Bundle to point people at if they wanted to learn Python. And if I had the time to dedicate to it with all my other hobbies, I would probably go and invest in this Python Superpowers bundle. Especially as a lot of times these Humble Bundles end up going directly to some of the smaller developers who create the helper programs, and or they go to charities. So this one is actually supports Python Software Foundation and Women Who Code. So get more and more female programmers out there that are still historically paid a lot less than their male counterparts. So if you can get stuff in there to support them, just for the support alone is sometimes worth jumping on a humble bundle, which we've talked about before with other humble bundles that we've put on the show. Greg, I think, had the last one, which was LGBTQ community developed humble bundle softwares.
It wasn't a humble bundle technically; it was an itch bundle, but it was a big variety of stuff.
Yeah, I know, man. That was a lot. Okay, since I don't want to spend a whole ton of time on it, I just wanted to pop in, say, hey, they've got this new humble bundle out. You get up to 21 bits of helper software and stuff for it, and only costs $25 for 21 items. That's not bad at all. As it is, that's extremely.
Especially for educational materials on programming like Python.
Yeah, especially Python. I've seen some of that stuff expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so it definitely lives up to the name humble there. But we'll go ahead and move forward from this. Next up is Cyberpunk 2077, which again is Lurch, I believe.
Yep, that's back to me. Okay, so I have not yet played Cyberpunk 2077 because I want to wait for the PS5 version of the game. And there has still, as of today, not been a release date for the PS5 version or the Xbox Series X and S version, which they also have announced The Witcher 3 is going to be re-released on these platforms as well, the new-gen systems. But they say they are on track currently still to be released in 2021, September 1st, right now. But they are both supposedly on track for 2021, but could slip into 2022.
Yes, since we're 1 month away from being in the last quarter of the year. They're running out of time.
Yeah. So CD Projekt's business boss, Michael Nowakowski, I'm probably butchering his name. I'm terrible with names. Said in an earnings call that Cyberpunk 2077's next-gen version could slip into 2022. The target is to release the next-gen version late this year. At the same time, keeping in mind the lessons we have learned during the past year and taking into account that this project still remains in development, we can't say with full certainty that the production schedule will not change, said Michael Nowakowski, as reported by the VGC. And then the Witcher 3's next-gen edition is being developed by Saber Interactive, and, same there. They plan to launch it later this year, but it might be delayed.
It could be a good holiday release, though.
Yeah. I'm okay. This game, I'm sure no one has forgotten, but Cyberpunk 2077 came out so buggy that on the PlayStation Store it got removed for like 8 months, 7 months, something like that.
Almost immediately.
Yeah, almost immediately because of how many bugs the PS4 version had. It works better on, even the version that's out, the PS4 version runs okay on the PS5. The Xbox One version runs okay, runs pretty good on the Xbox Series X. But on, old PS4s and old Xbox Ones, it, had all kinds of visual issues. And even on the newer hardware, it still has some glitches. They just recently put out another patch that was 51 gigabytes to try to fix a lot of stuff and then add some more content along the way. Anyway, I just wanted to share this, that the next-gen versions or new-gen versions or whatever word terminology you want to use for PS5 and Xbox Series
are officially on track, but still might slip.
Yeah. When I first saw a headline, I was like, "Oh, I'll get a release date," and no, it's might slip to 2022.
They're teasing you.
So
Lurch.
more than
you.
yeah, they're teasing me, and so I had to pass on the tease to everyone else.
That's right.
I really
Okay.
missed something. I thought that they released all the versions of Cyberpunk at the same time. I thought it had been out for PS5 since the beginning.
Nope.
No, the PS5 can play the PS4 version, but
Yep.
it's just not.
But why
it's
would
not-
you?
It's not optimized for the PS5.
Yep. So
So
that's why I'm waiting for the optimized version. I got plenty of stuff to play, plenty of things to take my
Yeah,
time.
right.
So,
there's always more coming
but
out.
my girlfriend Allie, she played it on the PC, and it was it got bugged on her sometimes, but overall she enjoyed the experience, and so it was a really cool game. She played it all the way through and started a second run. I don't know if she finished the second run, but I know she started a second run at least. So it was the only game she was playing. It was the only actual video game that she was playing there for a while.
Held all of her attention, huh?
Oh. Yeah, held her attention for a pretty good while, which for her ADHD, that's a impressive slate.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. We're going through pretty fast today, which is good.
Yeah.
Magic the Gathering is now the official gaming sponsor of English language to football club Leighton Orient. That one's yours, Greg.
Yeah, I just came across this headline and thought it was funny. I love that a tabletop game is sponsoring a sports game because shy of pro wrestling, you don't see a ton of overlap between those two things. And as the club's owner rightly says, there's a lot of overlap between those two styles of play. There's strategy, there's attention to detail, and I want to
There's a
see
huge competitive
more
market.
huge competitive market, and I want to see more people cosplaying fantasy characters at sports events.
Right? You just kind of want to see the planeswalkers at the Super Bowl.
Like, oh, I've got red and black face paint. This half of my face is black, this half is red. Oh yeah, I'm a planeswalking lion.
That's right.
I worked for this.
Those, from the footage I've seen, those Oakland Raiders fans would get really amped up about it with big, elaborate costumes.
Oh,
Get all your friends together at once and cosplay as a Magic the Gathering deck. Have your soldiers, your berserkers, your goblins.
well,
But they're all wearing football jerseys, though, on top of the
Isn't there a
costume.
basketball team out there called the Dragons? I know there's one called the Magic.
There's an Overwatch League team called the Shanghai Dragons, but they're terrible. At least they were first season.
But then there's a basketball team called the Magic, I think. LA Magic. Yeah. That would be perfect for Magic the Gathering to come in as a sponsor.
You think, and that's not even the first card game sports crossover. There's apparently a French forward player named Antoine Griezmann, who's the official ambassador of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. I didn't know Yu-Gi-Oh! Had an ambassador, but that's a thing. Okay, however, the collaboration was short-lived.
I was a Yu-Gi-Oh! Player, and that's new to me.
There's potential to get more geek hybridization, because sports nut is just a geek, but for a different
type of sport.
Hobby.
Yeah.
Different type of competition.
Yeah. I fling cards.
Fantasy football is a fantasy game.
It has fantasy in the title.
Right. Yeah, it's how nerds play football. we don't play the actual game. We back the players with our nerd league. Yeah, I could see this. And there's so many crossovers in like video games. One of the best money makers for the football NFL of all time was the Madden series of games. And the PGA Tour games and there's just so many games out there. Shaq had a pretty big run of video games for a while, didn't he? Shaquille
I
O'Neal?
remember Shaq Fu, and I remember it was terrible.
But he had one for football too, football and baseball.
I didn't remember those.
Yeah,
Doesn't mean they didn't happen, though.
that's true. I'm pretty sure I remember
Yeah.
them, but then again, I don't follow sports or sports games. I just remember seeing them in passing. I mean, I may have done security for Shaquille, but that doesn't mean I know all of the things about the guy.
Yeah.
I did do security for him though, but we didn't sit
I
around
wonder how
talking
much-
video games.
I wonder how much material cross promotion there's going to be with this new deal. Like, are they going to give away booster packs or sealed decks at football
At
matches?
special
Are
events,
there? Yeah. Are maybe there's the sports players that are going to lend their likenesses to Magic card illustrations? That'd be fun.
that would be cool. Yeah,
There's-
get some
there's-
cross pollination going.
There's 2 different Shaq Fu video games.
There's 2.
Yeah.
It would-
The original on Sega Genesis, and the new one is on PlayStation 4.
You mean they did that twice?
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk about gluttons for punishment.
Apparently it wasn't too awful. The score that GameStop gave it was a 3.8 out of 5.
On the second one?
Yeah, but that's GameStop.
Yeah, I'm gonna check out the listing on Steam to see what Steam has to say. Let's just get right here. Where did they put the ratings on this? I obviously don't spend a lot of time on Steam.
I almost
the-
never
the
go on
rating on-
Steam, so
Yeah, it's on sale and it's $20 on the Steam store at the moment.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It does
Shaq?
say mostly positive, 77%.
hey, that's
That's
not bad.
Not bad.
For a Shaq
And
game?
those are user reviews. That's not.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
not critics. That's not bad for a Shaq game because
That's people,
as
that's
much as
people
you
who
love,
actually played the game.
as much as you love Shaquille, when he tried to branch out into acting and video games and stuff, it really was not his thing. His version of Steel was abominable. And he also did Shazam, didn't he? A genie movie,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
that was a joke and a half. I mean, and he's such a nice guy. He really is a nice guy.
Yeah.
I can say that from when I worked with him. He was nice, so it's not just the media saying he's a nice guy. I can confirm that. But it's just he should not have left sports because that's what he's good at.
The
Hey,
animation.
you know what?
Huh?
I don't mind him trying new things, you know?
No, there's nothing wrong with
Oh
it.
no,
He
there's
made
nothing
his-
wrong with branching
He
out.
just obviously didn't have a talent for most of these things. But he's doing okay now because what he does now is he invests in a company and then jumps in and does a bunch of the advertising for the company he's invested in.
Yeah.
So you can pretty much, if he's on a commercial for a company, that means he's owning stock in it. So, I mean, that means he at least believes in the product he's pushing. That's
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
than some people.
Well, he's literally invested in the product doing well. He's got an incentive to push it.
Right.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he's bad at it.
No.
Anyway.
But he's actually invested in the property, so that's something. He's
I
putting
want-
his money where his mouth is.
I wonder if Magic the Gathering is going to start getting into having characters or cards based off of the football players.
They could have a sports world.
They've
Yeah.
done spin-offs based on real-world properties, not like I remember they had a not Legend of the Five Rings, that was a different game. Romance of the Three Kingdoms. They had an entire block based off of that Chinese epic story. So,
the Kuragawa
I could almost see them doing a block. And lately with all the spin-offs they've been doing with the alternate arts based on real world IPs, I could see them doing a spin-off of just like prominent football players.
And all the crossovers they've been doing with stuff like D&D,
Yeah.
and then wanting to make an animated series and stuff like that. Just like Dungeons and Dragons, they're dipping their toes into other people's pools. This might be something they could do. They can make a sport-centric world that's in their particular multiverse. And all the planeswalkers might be sports magicians of some kind.
Have their own Space Jam thing where the
Yeah.
fate of the world rests on a soccer game.
Yeah. And out comes Pele. The Pele card. I win. Michael Jordan card. I win. What game? Doesn't matter. I win. Okay, well, let's move ahead from this, but that's interesting stuff. I think that ends our non-stuff. Okay, the only other thing is one that Lurch shared with me, and I had kind of heard some of this before, but it is nice to report. And this is going into our media stuff. So before we do that, do you want to go ahead and say your goodbyes, Greg?
I do. I've got a couple little things to touch on before I sign off. One, I'll be doing my usual weekly live stream tomorrow around 10 o'clock. I finished, like I said earlier, I finished SteamWorld Quest last week, so I don't know what I'm going to be playing tomorrow. I still need to figure that out, but it'll be fun one way or another. On Friday at noon, I'm going to be doing another live stream because Diane works on Thursdays, but she's going to be here Friday. She got me a wonderful two-player co-op game called Kiwi for my birthday, which is a pun because you play kiwi birds, but you are teaming up to perform tasks for a post office slash telegraph station slash other things. I watched Playframe play it for an hour. It's delightful. And so we're going to live stream that on Friday, in addition to my regular weekly thing. Also, just a quick update, Avatar Legends has less than 24 hours to go, and they are 200 grand away from hitting $9 million. They've more than quadrupled the previous TTRPG Kickstarter record.
Oh, wow.
And I'm almost positive they're going to hit it. Their last stretch goal at $8 million was to record a live stream. I don't think they're live streaming it. They're going to record it and produce it. A one-shot featuring Satine Phoenix, Becca Scott, and Jenny Kwan.
Ooh, nice. Didn't you also want to update something on that Hex system?
Yes, that was the other thing. Hex started at 11 o'clock today, and it funded in 6 hours. It's already at 12. Its goal was 10,000. It's already at 12,500.
Nice. That's a nice looking system too.
Yeah, and it's the first Kickstarter I've backed. I managed to get in early enough to get one of the early bird bonuses. So I basically got a stack of those mini hexes that are just triangles that snap onto the edges of the hexes for free.
Oh, nice. And just want to point out to everybody, without going into it, this first week in a while, we've not touched on Activision Blizzard at all. Woohoo!
Yeah. Ongoing.
First week in ages since it started, and that's okay. We don't need to make it the Activision show. But anyway, so we're going to wish Greg a good day and see him next week. Some of you can check out his streams tomorrow. That's on Queen City Cardboard here on Twitch.
And hopefully see you again on a Friday to see Kiwi, because you will enjoy watching it.
Yeah, if you've got free time on Friday, do you know about what time you're going to do it Friday?
I'm going to shoot for noon.
About noon? Okay, so noon Central Time on Friday, you can also come check out this Kiwi game. All right, well, have a good day, Greg. Let me go ahead and switch this over to the
see you around
later.
2-host format here. And do that, and then go to here and do that. Okay, we're showing it as normal. All right, now back to the big thing that I kind of touched on this a month or so back. This year, of course, they did not really do a true multi-episode crossover like they've done in the past with CW, and that's big part of that is because of COVID. They were not in no way were they planning to do another Crisis or try to outdo Crisis because that would have been stupid. Crisis was too ginormous to try to outdo right off the bat. And they realized that. Berlanti was like, no way are we going to try to top Crisis immediately. We're going to dial back quite a bit. But they were originally planning on doing a crossover, and then, of course, COVID hit. So there was no real crossover this time around, although we did have the little Diggle cameos in each of the major series. However, one of the things that I touched on about a month ago, and something that Philip brought up a few days ago, is the 5-part season opener for the next season of The Flash is going to be like a mini epic crossover. It's just all going to be contained in the Flash series. It's not going to be in several different series. It's going to be the first 5 episodes of The Flash, but they're going to be interlinked. And one of the things they're doing is they're bringing back some of our favorites that have left the Berlanti verse for other projects. Ray Palmer is said to be coming back with his wife. We're going to get Professor Wells back, but not as Professor Wells, but as Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash. We're going to get Black Lightning is in talks to be back in this. We're going to have at least one member of Supergirl's crew is going to be back, and it's either going to be Alex or Kelly as the new Guardian. It'll be either Kelly as Guardian or Alex, Kara's sister. So there's a bunch of cameos going to come across. So we're going to have, I think, baby, the daughter of Arrow, I think, is possibly going to show up. I think there was a list here somewhere of who was going to show. I need to tuck it down a little bit here. So we got Brandon Roth. We got Javisha Leslie as Batwoman. The new Batwoman will be in there. Brandon Roth as the Atom. Chris Williams as Black Lightning. Tyler Leah as Sentinel. So that'll be Kelly Olsen.
Yeah.
Pat McNamara is Mia Queen. So we get Mia Queen and Ozra Chow as the only human pillar from the Crisis show. Plus we get Tom Cavanaugh and Neil McDonough as Reverse Flash and Damien Dark. So that's going to be really interesting. Especially if Brandon Roth also brings his wife along, because of course she's the daughter of Damien Dark.
Yeah.
So we've got quite a bit that's going to be going on in that first 5 episodes, which will premiere in November, I believe it is. November 16th at 8 p.m. On Tuesdays, which means we'll be able to stream it on Wednesdays. So it'll be the one of those ones we watch early in the morning before our broadcast.
Yeah.
And that's the one I'm super excited about, especially those first 5 episodes. Even if the rest of the series kind of falls flat after that, those first 5 episodes are going to get my adrenaline pumping.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it.
And I love Grant Gustin anyway. I think The Flash is still my favorite of all of the Berlanti verse. I love Legends of Tomorrow for its quirkiness, but for straight watchability, I think The Flash is my favorite. And Grant Gustin, I think, is the best lead they've got. And so this has got me really excited. And that actually segues right into our normal segment, which is, of course, weekly media. And for those who don't know the routine already, if there's anybody out there that doesn't know the routine, spoiler alerts following.
Spoilers.
Spoiler,
Yeah.
spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. Uh-huh. Spoiler. Uh-huh. No, we have
And
spoilers.
not the kind like you put on your cars.
Yeah, no, not those kind of spoilers. As in, we're not holding back. If we think of it, it's going to come out of our mouth uncensored. So, if you have not watched these and you don't want to have it done like Greg, you might want to bow out for the week and go have a snack, or go learn another language on Duolingo or something, because we're not going to hold back just for those handful that have not come out and actually watched the show yet. We get up early in the morning in some cases just to watch all of these to make sure we're up to date for everybody. And we really have to cram them in because Wednesdays can be a busy day for me, I know that. And it can be busy for Philip because he has to organize also around Allie's schedule, because at least one of the shows Allie watches with him and then one he watches by himself. So he has to juggle that.
Allie watches
Stargirl, right?
Stargirl and the Marvel stuff. So
right. Which means you got to make sure to watch that when Allie's there, and then try to squeeze the others in when she's not there. So,
and I also have, work.
Right.
I work full time during the day.
And you're on call and stuff. Yeah.
So if anyone's wondering why I'm yawning, it's because I didn't get much sleep last night, so I could keep caught up on these shows, because a lot of these episodes we're going to talk about didn't release until after midnight last night.
That's right. We don't usually start watching until about 1 a.m. Because right at midnight, a lot of them don't exactly drop yet. So it's best if we wait till 1 or 2 a.m. to check. Or that 1 week, where Philip missed one drop.
Yeah.
Because it dropped a little bit later than what he expected. So anyway, as always, we're going to start with the beginning of the week, which was Sunday's episode of League Legends of Tomorrow. I was about to say League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but no, not that.
I mean that was a cool movie.
And I'd love to see a series involving it. But,
man, that'd be gnarly.
It would be.
Yeah.
Especially depending on which of the comic books they'd want to cover. But anyway, this one was very Spooner-centric episode. The team goes to John's mansion to confront him because they know that he helped Bishop. And, of course, Bishop took Rory's babies, mixed babies. And he has the ship now with constantly. They basically hijack the ship while the guys come into the mansion and are being distracted by basically a magically produced hologram or an astral projection of John. And then we get back to the ship. Now, the only ones left on the ship, besides John and Bishop, are Spooner and Astrid. And of course, they come in, bickering about what they're going to do. Bishop and John are, and Astrid quickly turns herself and Spooner into knickknacks on the table, so they're not noticed. And they're basically going to use Bishop's ability, and John's going to use the time ship to go and find a version of the fountain that he was looking for a few episodes ago, to give him his magic, so he's no longer dependent on the blood potion again. But of course, you remember the fountain didn't accept him last time, because of course he's far from pure at heart. And so Bishop's going to come along and help convince the fountain, basically by retro programming it like it's a computer, inserting a little virus to convince the pool that John is worthy, and that's the plot. So we end up in kind of an old westy town,
Yeah,
and
in Odessa, Texas, or just
in,
outside of Odessa, Texas,
just outside of
before it's
Odessa,
like,
Texas. It's probably
what
just
year
the
did they
old
say it was?
westy,
I think 1825.
18 something, yeah, just right around the
I think they said
1800s.
1825. Yeah,
And it's basically where Spooner's from. And there's this one lady that's a healer that comes heals a guy that's doing some mining for the big bad guy of the era who's trying to buy off everybody's land. And Spooner recognizes her as her mother. So she thinks now that the aliens, after abducting them, had brought her mother back in the past, which is why she could never find her mother. Well, as the episode goes on, we figure out that it's not exactly that way. It's that Spooner was taken from this 1800s era uh, healer on the wagon trails and dropped back off on Earth in modern day society. So she was taken out of time, as it were.
yeah,
And it also seems to look like maybe the aliens did it as a nicety for her, not as a kidnapping. Because
yeah.
her mom gets attacked by the bad guy because he wants to take her land because of the oil deposits on her land.
You know,
Um, and so that's the main gist of the episode. Are there any real highlights you want to feature in on, Lurch?
So there's the bit about, we got young Spooner and old Spooner wants to save young Spooner and not have her lose her mother because, her memories are now getting brought back, and so she sees her mother get shot by the oil dudes. And we learn that in the past, young Spooner, had run off into the woods after her mother got shot and fell amongst a group of mushrooms, which turns out mushrooms are an alien species. And it turns out that the Fountain of Imperium is an alien itself. And these mushrooms are like connected to it.
Kind of
And
like the
like
fingers
Spooner
that reach
bleeds
out.
on a mushroom. Yeah, like when the child's blood in the past, when the original timeline of this happens, the child's blood bleeds onto the mushrooms. It activated the Fountain of Imperium to grab her and take her to the present day
And
era.
among other things, showed she was pure of heart.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Constantine
It
ends
would
up
have
getting
only
some of
it only
Spooner's blood.
yeah. So Constantine gets some of her blood, takes it to Bishop. Bishop uses that to create the concoction that Constantine can then inject himself with, that tricks the Fountain of
Fountain
Imperium
into
into
accepting
thinking that
her.
he's pure of heart. Yeah, which it works. He injects himself. It accepts him, but then it also, Bishop also secretly put a poison in it that kills him as well, and it kills him while he's connected to the Fountain of Imperium, and kills the Fountain of Imperium as well. And Bishop reveals that he's been trying to figure out a way to destroy the Fountain of Imperium because it came to Earth a long time ago and has been protecting the Earth with like a magical barrier from alien invasion for, thousands of years or something. And now with the fountain gone, then Bishop thinks he is now free to save the world because there's no longer this fountain protecting it.
Because he's got these
'Cause
delusions of grandeur.
yeah, he has these delusions that it's up to him to save all of mankind. And by destroying the thing that protected Earth, he thinks that is going to help him be able to save the Earth. So Constantine dies and gets wrapped up in the branches from the mushroom thing as it fades away. Present day, like adult Spooner stays with her mom and saves her life as child Spooner runs off, with Asterith, thinking her mother's going to die. and does get picked up by the mushroom, the giant fountain thing, and portaled off. So that still maintains the timeline of Spooner becoming a legend, at least.
Right,
So that
because
she exists in the
otherwise you create
future.
a paradox.
Yeah, so they prevented the paradox. But in the past, instead of Spooner's mother dying, adult Spooner sticks behind and uses. She is tapping into the Fountain of Imperium using like this glowing light stuff to, destroy the weapons of the shooters and whatever scares them off, and so they leave. But then when the fountain itself dies with Constantine, Spooner's attached connection to it dies. She's like, I can feel it. Something's wrong with the fountain, and she collapses. So Spooner collapses. We see Constantine die, and also back on the time ship, when the other legends finally make their way to the time ship by getting Kayla's help, the mother of Rory's eggs. They
Right.
get her help to find the eggs, but the eggs are set on with an explosive, and the group works together to save all the eggs, but one last egg got dropped and left near the bomb, and Rory ran to go grab the last egg just as the bomb goes off. And so it looks like Rory got blown up by the explosion.
But no guarantees.
So potentially 3 legends die at the end of the episode.
Which would be a major upheaval because there haven't been any rumors of redoing their cast again yet. But they redo their cast more than any other show on the CW. So
yeah, that's by design. I have heard that they were planning on killing off Constantine this season.
Well, yeah, because they were going to bring Matt Ryan in as a different character, so as not to conflict with the other live-action Constantine that's coming to HBO Max.
Yes, exactly. So I suspect that Constantine is actually dead on this episode, but that the other 2 might have a chance of coming back.
I don't think Rory's going to die because he's been enjoying this show too much.
Yeah. So I don't think the other 2 died.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But they could have.
Right.
We're led to think that they did, and it looks like they did, but I don't think they did. But I do think Constantine actually did.
Yeah, I think because of what the plans are for Constantine, it's almost a shoo-in that Constantine's dead. So the best we're going to see.
And then Matt Ryan will come back as
another character.
We'll see Matt Ryan come back as a different character soon, I think.
Well, he's not supposed to.
I'm wondering if he's going to come back. I wonder if he's going to later come back as a personification of the Fountain of Imperium.
Who knows? I know he's supposed to come back as another character in the next season. In this season, if we see any more of Constantine, it should probably be in like memory/flashback episodes. That's about it. Okay. We're going to move on from that. Next one in the CW verse is Supergirl. This one's still kind of fresh because I watched it this morning, although I did nap since then. So if I forget anything, oh well.
Yeah, I watched it. I watched it around 5 o'clock. I watched it immediately after work.
Right. This is like the first thing I watched at 1 a.m. In this one, we got a couple of things going on. First off, the leader of Catco is still obsessing about getting interviews with the Super Friends.
And growing to hate that woman.
Yeah, really?
She's demanding that her two of her reporters get exclusive interviews with the superheroes or they lose their jobs. And I'm like,
basically said it to 3 of them. Because she said it to Dreamer too, but then she sent Dreamer home on a personal wellness day because she couldn't stay awake. Dreamer's been having nightmares where she shows up in this dark woods and she sees her mother and she runs to try to catch her, and then a branch catches her skirt, and before she can get going, she gets attacked by like crows or whatever and never makes it to her mother in the initial dream. Then we notice Nixie in the background, if you remember, Nixie is the imp from the negative zone that Kara and her father were dealing with for a while. The basic cousin of Mitsopitalik.
Yeah.
And she starts to try to befriend Dreamer by banishing the crows and trying to get her to do a physical dream manifestation in order to bring her out. Because I guess when Kara and her father made it back to the real world with the gang, she wasn't strong enough to cross over wholly by herself. The best she could do is insert herself into the dream realm. And so to be brought out of the dream realm, she basically needs a member of Dreamer species to dream her out. And she's offering Dreamer 24 hours with her mother because she can't just offer her anything. Imps are required to kind of live by their contracts, kind of like a Rumpelstiltskin kind of thing. So she does have to honor a contract. So she does tell her, I can bring your mother back to life, but for only 24 hours. But you can have another 24 hours with your mother if you bring me back to Earth. And Dreamer's real sketchy of this. And I don't blame Dreamer one bit, because as cosmic laws go, no resurrecting the dead is a big one on there.
Yeah.
And Dreamer's like real cautious about these kind of things because she's one of the more cautious of the Super Friends, period. Now, back to the other Super Friends. They're tracking a bunch of robberies. Specifically, Martian Manhunter's been doing a lot of the tracking with Kara's help. And they find evidence at this one robbery that a metal manipulating alien and a invisible alien. I can't remember either of the alien species' names.
I think they called them Metal Knight and Obscurian.
Obscurian, yeah. But had worked together on this one thing, and they'd picked up a bunch of ammonium nitrate. Well, of course, ammonium nitrate, it can be used to make explosives. Basically, it's the basic component in a fertilizer bomb. And Kelly Olsen, Jimmy's little sister, in her job as a social worker, goes to check on this one alien kid that's in a foster care system whose brother is in prison. And he is of a species that can emit EMPs, or electromagnetic pulses. And he's been acting out. And the lady who runs the house, she reveals that they've all got power dampening cuffs on. But when this one kid gets super agitated, he can override his cuff and still let off an EMP. And he got freaked out after his last visit to his brother in prison. And from Kelly talking to him, she finds out that he's worried about his brother because his brother's acting sick and everything. And he explains that they can get sick if they overuse their powers. And supposedly, he said he was overusing his powers on this work release program. Well, Kara had covered the work release program in an earlier article. So she goes with Kelly to the prison to investigate. And the warden's like, oh no, we carefully monitor all our guys and stuff for this. And it's like, well, can we see the prisoner? It's like, oh, well, unfortunately, you got to put requests to see him in at least 2 weeks in advance. Hey, but your next article can be about all the bureaucracy in prisons that we have to fight with. Making a joke about it. And they go to try to sneak their way in using a combination of distraction and super speed. But then they abandon it when they find that he's already out on a work release. So Kara follows the work release van and finds them showing up at this work release bus rather, and they show up at this one work site, but then some of the aliens peel away from the regular group, load into a smaller panel van, and go and basically try to hijack some uranium. So now she also meets up with John there because he tracked from the other direction, and they both met in the middle here. And John and her realize, well, ammonium nitrate plus uranium means a dirty bomb, a dirty nuke.
Yeah.
And a dirty nuke, they could get rid of like 50 city blocks, or was it 50 megaton nuclear weapon? They had
I
enough
don't
to
remember,
do something like
yeah.
that. 50 is the number that's stuck in my head. And it looks like the guard is the one making them do the robbery that they don't even want to. In fact, the little kid's bigger brother is refusing because he doesn't want to put innocents at harm. In fact, we come to find out the only reason he's in prison is because he'd robbed a store to try to get a place for him and his little brother to stay because nobody wanted to, rent a house to a minimum wage worker. And he really had no other skills, and the only other thing he could do was go rob a store. And he got caught and sentenced to prison because of his alien nature. But he's
EMP
really,
abilities don't have a lot of job applications other than criminal, really.
right? Emergency safeguarded electrical plants. That's about it. They could be in the Matrix to stop squids.
Yeah.
But otherwise, they don't have a whole lot of job potential.
I guess there's military applications or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
All
It's not like
kinds of
super
military
strength
apps.
that you could use. Yeah, if you had super strength, you could do a high-paying furniture moving job or something. You could be moving expensive stuff
Or demolition.
whatever. There's or demolition. If you can make things explode, you could do demolitions. But shutting off all the electronics in the area.
Mostly that's a
got
bad
limited
thing.
potential.
Mostly that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
So they go to try to stop them, and the aliens get away, but they're now on the run, and then it's showing on the newspapers, everybody but Catco's newspapers, is showing that they are escapees. And of course, Boss Lady's super upset because not only did they not get the interview with Supergirl or Martian Manhunter or anybody, but also they got scooped by every other paper in the city because they didn't write anything about it.
Yeah.
She is really getting on my nerves.
She is. Yeah, she's like, if you don't get an interview with these superheroes, you'll be writing classifieds. Like,
I never ever
chill,
thought
lady. Like,
I would miss Callista Flockhart, but I'd rather have Cat Grant because Callista was better as Cat Grant than she ever was as Ally McBeal. I thought Ally McBeal was stupid, but Cat Grant, she was okay. One thing,
Cat Grant was sometimes obnoxious and intense character that did a little too many name drops, but that's her character. But she was rude to people, but she wasn't like, you're going to be fired if you don't do this almost impossible thing.
She actually cared. You could tell she cared. And since Ally McBeal, it looks like she actually had a sandwich. Because in Ally McBeal, Callista Flockhart could have fit through a keyhole. I mean, she was that thin.
I'll admit, I'll concede that she was kind of concerningly thin back then, but also don't want to body shame either.
I'm not body shaming. No, in fact, I'm praising her for getting healthier.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's a healthier place that she is now.
That's what it looks like. When your skin is almost transparent, you got to watch it.
Yeah.
But there's too much extremes on both sides of the scale, as it were. But I miss Cat Grant because this other lady's got to go. And then, of course, Lana Luthor was off trying to reconnect with her birth mother. So
Lena
Lena Luthor,
Luthor.
rather, not Lana. Lena Luthor. So we really didn't touch much on Lena
No, we didn't
this
see her.
episode.
She got name dropped once, I think.
Right, when they said
Like,
specifically,
where's Lena? Oh,
that's what
she's
she's
going
doing.
out to see her mother.
Right.
You know, she's looking for her mother or something.
But at the end of the episode, of course, Kelly gets her brother's shield gifted to her because they kind of anticipated that was going to happen.
Helmet.
The helmet and shield, yeah. The boy in the foster home, they get rid of the lady that was running the foster care because they showed that she was basically being kind of neglectful of the kids and not really running them in a safe environment for those aliens.
Yeah.
Just relying too much on the cuffs and being overbearing than actually being empathetic to the children.
Yeah.
And
They
so
were. It seemed like the only concern was to maintain order, and they did that by just, cuffing their powers and telling them to shut up.
covering their powers, telling them to shut up, and regulating their meals and snacks. I mean, that's
Yeah.
not enough to raise a child. You have to show them some love and compassion too. And then we eventually get to where we find the corruption in the prison goes all the way up to the warden, and it's in connection to, and this is a name we haven't heard a whole bunch of in the Valerity-verse, Intergang. Now, we heard a whole lot of Intergang in Lois and Clark. Was probably one of the live-action series that used the term Intergang a lot. A lot of people don't remember, unless they're hardcore comic book addicts, that Intergang was the one organized crime gang family that Superman had to deal with. You know, he didn't just deal with supervillains all the time. He also had to foil Intergang. And in fact, the early black and white Superman, a lot of times, he wasn't fighting supervillains at all. He was just fighting members of Intergang. So this is a nice throwback to some of the more classic Superman Adventures tales. Reminding you that Intergang is still out there and still doing bad shit. And they don't always have to have a supervillain as their agent of chaos and destruction.
Yeah.
So
I like at the end of the episode, near the end of the episode, and John Jones, Martian Manhunter, and Supergirl, they show up because the Intergang sends the criminal, the
bus
prisoners, to rob another place for uranium or whatever.
The same place again, I think it was actually.
Was it the same place? Anyway, whatever it was, and they showed up. They took out all the guards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Supergirl was like, deactivated all their power, dampener devices, and said, come with us. We're going back to the prison where I'm going to explain everything. At that instant, I was like, oh, damn it, Supergirl, that was dumb. Because immediately they attack her.
Well, she didn't deactivate all their cuffs. She deactivated the older brother's cuff, and then he activated an EMP, which deactivated all the rest of the cuffs. Because they're electrical.
Yeah. Anyway, all their cuffs were deactivated, and then they worked as a group to shield themselves, and it started attacking Supergirl and John, and almost brought down the building.
And they had to basically get diplomatic and convince them that yes, the system isn't working like it's supposed to, but we're going to be here to help you make sure it works right this time. That we're going to try to ensure that you guys get a fair shake. And they
talked them down.
They talked them down.
Yep. And then went on the news, like Supergirl called William, the other reporter
The British guy,
Kara
yeah.
works with, and yeah, British guy, and did an interview with him where she's talking about the corruption in that prison and how it's a great system, a great policy. Just we need new people in charge that are going to do the right thing with it. Yada yada yada.
And more
And
oversight.
yeah, more oversight to prevent this from happening and things like that. And then also, what's Olsen's first name?
Kelly?
I forget her first name.
Kelly.
Kelly Olsen. She had hacked into a thing and stole video footage of the foster parent basically at this care facility with the alien kids, not mistreating them, and got her fired. I think even arrested.
And that's because she'd made a crack that even though there were the cameras out there and stuff, he says, who has time to watch through these? They don't care.
Yeah.
So she was basically convincing them
And
they were
so,
going to look. So Kelly had to get the specific footage she wanted and present that to who needed to see it.
yeah. And basically in this episode, the villain was less of an individual and more of a corrupt system that was being taken advantage of.
But
And
finally, the
Supergirl and friends
yeah.
the Supergirl and friends are working on fixing the cause of this issue instead of it just coming to blows. They got the evidence. They got the right people arrested. Yeah. And honestly, I feel like this is one of my favorite Supergirl episodes we've had in a while.
It was a really good episode.
Because it shows Supergirl being able to do a lot more for the world than just punching
a bad guy.
an alien. Yeah, punching a bad guy.
And finally, the leader of Cat Industries is satisfied because she finally gets an interview.
Yeah.
Because of William's interview with Supergirl, she can finally lay off and let them get back to doing their jobs.
The lady in charge at Cat Grant didn't care what the interview was about. She just wanted an exclusive interview.
And they got it.
So Supergirl did an exclusive interview. The interview was about what Kara wanted to do a story about anyway. So they both got what they wanted.
And William even apologized to Kara for taking on the interview. And he's like, oh no, I'm glad you were there. And of course she knows because she's really Supergirl. It's not like she can interview herself real easily without John's help. With John's help and some scripting she could, but otherwise, So, this helped finally get her off their case so that maybe in the next episode we don't have to hear her whining so much about being the personal coverage of the Super Friends.
Yeah.
Because that seems to be her flag she waves.
I like that they're using the word Super Friends more, though.
Yeah, the Super Friends and the Justice League and stuff are being dropped here and there, and I love it. And that's one of the earmarks of the 5-episode opener for Flash, is kind of bringing back the Super Friends vibe.
Yeah.
But I'm still hoping that they eventually end up with a Super Friends / Justice League series.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they need to bring everybody back. And they can use the rotating roster, which was always a big part of the Super Friends in the first place.
Yeah. So I think that covers Supergirl. What's our next one?
Our next one is your favorite and mine, Stargirl. Okay. This was an interesting one because it starts off with the daughter of Sportsmaster showing up at the prison to talk to her dad and mom. And, of course, she thinks they're innocent. And they were framed or whatever. And she's all frustrated. And she's got to go to her football tryouts. And the foster family she's with is fucking crap. I mean, they give her a Ziploc baggie full of stuff to eat for her lunch. And it includes, like, sugary caffeinated sodas, which she doesn't drink. She
Yeah.
says, how hard is it to find whey protein? She said, they didn't have wheat protein. I said, I didn't say wheat protein. I said whey protein, you idiot.
Yeah.
There's not even a protein bar. What am I going to use for fueling my tryouts?
I mean, her whole lunch was like a bag of Doritos and a can of soda.
And I think a big Rice Krispies treat or something.
Yeah.
And
I'm like,
that's a joke of a lunch for a health nut.
Yeah. I am not a healthy eater. I don't think anyone would be convinced if I did say I was a healthy eater. And I'm going, that is not.
Well, there wasn't a lick of protein in that whole bag.
Yeah.
And she's an athlete. Athletes need protein.
Yeah.
And she had none. Not a protein bar, not a beef stick, not a cheese stick, nothing.
No produce. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you expect them to go out and do a workout without protein? It's just not supposed to happen. And she's supposed to be at her best for tryouts.
Yeah, she's a football quarterback, and she's doing tryouts to get into college.
Yeah.
And
a
can't
scout
get
is
any
supposed to be coming
protein.
out, and she's not got any protein to get her through. So her mom and dad break out of their respective prisons. They kidnap Pat's son and use him to bring Pat over. And then they basically make a deal with Pat. They says, look, we don't want to do anything wrong. We just want to watch our daughter to tryouts. Then we will break back into prison and make it look like we were never gone. And then, and they live up to their freaking thing, which surprised the shit out of me. Because I don't see that kind of respect out of sportsmasters.
Mm-hmm.
They actually, also, Pat was starting to almost bond with Sportsmaster. And Courtney's mother was starting to bond with his wife. I love
that line where, because before Sportsmaster, like in the first season, before Sportsmaster knew who Pat Dugan was, that he was Stripesy and all that jazz, he was actually becoming friends with Pat. And
in this wanted to get him in a workout,
Yeah, and in this episode, he's like, man, I really thought we started to bond. What happened? He's like, I thought we were having a good connection. And Pat's like, I was feeling that too until you tried to kill me. Oh yeah, I could see that.
Fair point. Yeah.
Fair point.
And then the mothers bond over how frustrating teenage girls can be. And of course, every mother in the world can bond over that. Allison is in the background going, oh my God. Teenage girls, oh my God. Because she raised one of those too. She's in her 20s now.
Yeah.
And she was one and she raised one. She's like, oh my God. And of course, we also see Courtney. Well, first off, we see Pat talking to Courtney's mom. And basically, they're alluding to, without giving us details, to the fact of how bad Eclipso really is. And Eclipso's like the baddest of the bad. And then the kids try to research Eclipso. And Courtney goes to a used bookstore. And who does she find at the used bookstore but the Shade? And the Shade basically tells her that he doesn't want to team up with Eclipso or bring back the Injustice Society or anything of the sort. He wants to drop Eclipso's Black Diamond into the deepest part of the ocean so it is never found again. Which gives you a clue in that maybe the Shade is not exactly... He's not a hero, but he's not exactly a bad guy either.
Yeah.
He's more of an anti-hero who still is pretty dedicated to not having certain things happen.
He did. There was this one. He said something. He said, "Sure, I've killed a few people, but nobody that didn't deserve it."
Yeah, he doesn't kill innocents. He's broken the occasional law, stolen the occasional thing, but in no way was he a hardcore villain.
Yeah. He made a comment about how Midnighter's daughter, who was like 8 years old back in the day, was murdered by Eclipso. And
He also alluded to the
and
fact that what Pat told her
he's like,
about
there's a
him
difference
killing
between
Midnighter,
bad and evil.
and he
What was that?
he alludes to the fact that what Pat told her about him having killed Dr. Midnight wasn't exactly correct.
Yeah. He
Or
also
like,
said something to the effect of, he's like, it's curious what Pat chooses to tell you and what Pat chooses to not tell you. Which we know that Pat's keeping something about Eclipse's secret because him and the mom,
mother,
whose name I can't, Barbara, I think, the
Barbara,
two of them have a conversation and they decide to, hide the truth from her.
which is part
Which
of
is
a parent's
why,
job, is to protect their children.
yeah.
So,
But when your child is a superhero, I don't think you're helping them. I don't think you're
it
protecting them in
depends
this
on
case.
what you. I mean, you like, for instance, Courtney has got a tendency to go off gung ho, so you might have to keep something from her just to keep her from jumping the gun, and everything. But Beth, of course, is trying to unlock Chuck still, her
Yeah.
information goggles. And she gets where it's talking to him again and asking her, says, "Who is this? And why do you keep calling me Chuck?" He says, "That's your name. You are the Dr. McNider's AI, right?" And he was like, "No, who are you?" "Well, my name is Gordon McNider." "Oh,
Yeah.
so he's actually McNider in the Shadow Realm, talking from
Yeah.
his goggles there through to the goggles that Beth is wearing."
Yeah, he's the actual Dr. McKnight.
Which implies that
and
the
we
Shade
briefly,
didn't kill him. He transferred him to the Shadow Realm
yeah.
or something of the sort.
Yeah, something of the sort. We don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, he seems to be trapped in some kind of a world of shadows. He's got all this
Also,
gray, swirly stuff around him.
Cynthia is super active in this episode. She's like
What's that?
Cynthia is super active in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Cindy, she's trying to recruit um, the violinist's son, and she actually gives him the violin. He says, "I can't play this. You'll learn."
Yeah.
And she explains that this is where our parents tried to save the world, which was kind of the subtext of what they said they were trying to do. Might not exactly have been what they were doing, but they
Yeah.
thought they were.
Yeah.
And then she's also looking at using the Black Diamond to corrupt Sportsmaster's daughter, which makes her freaking wig out because she thinks she sees her father and mother watching her tryouts, and she does better because of it. Then she gets this hallucination
Yeah.
that these SWAT people are closing in on her parents.
Clipser causes her to have a hallucination that SWAT people are closing in on her
Yeah,
parents and going to shoot
including
them. So she
it
runs and
turns
attacks.
Courtney into a SWAT agent,
Yeah.
and so she comes and freaks out. That, which also reminds me, another part of it is when she was in the cafeteria after, she couldn't eat what her parents gave her, and found out there's no wheatgrass, no acai in the lunchroom. Well, that's kind of normal, but there was no fresh fruit whatsoever. That's a crime. Children need fresh fruit. And
Yeah.
Courtney
Like,
makes the ultimate.
some of the stuff I get it. It's like, the school can't afford that. But god damn it, they gotta have some fresh
They
fruit
should
there.
have some apples and bananas and oranges. I mean, come
Yeah.
on. And Courtney
Right?
makes the ultimate, like, peace gesture and hands her a fresh red apple. And then she ends up freaking squishing that and throwing it on the ground anyway in a fit of pique. And it's just like, ugh. And she finds out she doesn't even get the real invite to play ball because of her anger issues.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, I think is going to be another one of the things that will push her into Cynthia's coterie of Injustice Society Mark II.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
That
Cynthia
plus
came to
her
her. She's
parents
like,
admitting that they were
Cyn-
guilty.
yeah, her parents admit they were guilty. To the daughter. So now she knows her parents weren't framed.
Right?
I can understand her being angry when she thinks her parents are in prison for
Something they
no
didn't
reason.
do.
Yeah. But then she loses the scholarship or loses the chance at the team because of her going off on what she thought was a SWAT agent attacking her parents. And that Cynthia orchestrated. And then Cynthia comes to her and she's like, "Oh, you didn't make the team, but I do have a team for you to join." You know,
And that's
trying
going
to
to bring
pull
her
her into
in.
her injustice society. Yeah.
And then we got a brief reminder that Solomon Grundy is out there when our man said, "Oh, I got to go feed the dog." "Oh, what kind of dog do you got?"
Yeah.
"It's a big one."
Yeah.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh, very good episode. I think
A
that
lot
pretty much
happening.
sums it up. Yeah.
A lot happening. And a lot of twists. Like, we never expected Sportsmaster and his wife to own up and voluntarily go back to jail. We expected a
Yeah.
double cross at the end.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
I don't know. I actually said to Allie while we were watching it, as they were making the deal, I was like Allie was like, "Oh, that's gonna bite him in the ass," and I was like, "You know what? I think I believe them. I think they're legitimately gonna go back to prison after this thing because they're so dedicated as parents."
Doesn't necessarily mean they won't
I
break out again, but they'll go back.
no, yeah, yeah,
Okay, we're now about ready to swap over into our. Let's see, what have I got there? Okay, that. Oh, I haven't done any recommendation this week, did I? Oh, anyway, we'll skip my recommendation this week because it's already 10
I'll
o'clock.
recommend that people play. I recommend people go play the old Metroid games. I've been playing them lately.
That's a good recommendation for flashback. Doesn't always have to be a movie or TV
Yeah,
show.
I'm currently playing Super Metroid on the Nintendo Switch using the Super Nintendo app they have on there.
Hmm.
Um, there is the original Metroid game and the second Metroid game both of them got remakes that drastically improves it. The remake of the original game is called Metroid Zero Mission, which was released, I think, on Game Boy Advance, but it is playable on the Wii U. You can buy it on the Wii U Digital Store through the Virtual Console. And then the next one was Metroid. So Zero Mission is a complete remake of the original NES Metroid game. Much better gameplay, much better visuals, some extra story stuff, and at the end of the game, a whole extra level that wasn't in the original game.
Right.
That has you fighting against the pirates in a stealth section of the game because your power suit's broken. And then Metroid 2, which was originally a Game Boy game, got remade as a Nintendo 3DS game called Metroid Samus Returns.
Right.
Again, a significant upgrade to the original game. I never played the remakes. I played the originals and never played the remakes. And oh man, it is a world of difference in how much better it is, while still covering basically while still covering the old story, but with a little bit more detail and much better gameplay experience and visual experience.
Nice.
Um, to
That'll
get
be
to,
our
I'm trying.
recommendation this week is to go back
Yeah,
and find a game like Metroid or Super Mario Brothers or Donkey Kong Country, something that maybe you've only heard about because you're the younger generation and you've played some of the sequels but never played the original. See if you can get your hold on a reprint of an original, remastered or something, and give it a try. And our personal recommendation this week is the Metroid franchise
yeah.
because
Even
Samus was
even
one of the
Metroid
first
Prime. Yeah,
female lead characters in a video game, and we never even knew she was female at the beginning. because she
Yeah,
was
you don't find
covered head
out
to
she's
foot in
female
armor.
until the very, very end of the game, and it's only if you beat the last leg of the game in a certain time limit.
Right.
And then her armor kind of breaks away, and you see that
In a
it's a
bikini.
feminine figure, feminine woman underneath. Yeah, in a bikini.
Right. But it's a very much a what's a Joan of Arc kind of thing where she dresses up as a male um, to enter into
Well, I
battle.
mean,
Well, she dressed
armor
up.
isn't really gendered.
Yeah, but she dressed up
except for
to
in
not
fantasy.
show off their feminism. She doesn't show off
Yeah.
her feminism, so that she's just treated as another warrior. And she goes through, and then at the end, you find out, hey, she not only is she another warrior, but she's an empowered woman, and that's great.
Yeah.
And it's one of the
So-
earliest examples of that kind of thing
If-
in video gaming.
So something I love about the Metroid games is there's a very powerful sense of progression, because
Mhm.
other than your like ammo pickups that increase your ammo capacity, everything else you pick up is a power upgrade that gives you new access to new areas. You get the morph ball, which lets you get into smaller areas. You get missiles that let you break open stuff. You get power bombs that let you break open other areas. You get a super run that lets you run super fast and launch off of things. So you get a grappling beam that lets you grapple things and swing on it to reach areas you couldn't before. So just pretty much every time you get another power-up, it's not like it's just more damage you're getting. You're getting a new function that adds more to the gameplay. And
Yep, and then you want to go back and replay certain levels now that you've got these unlocks.
yeah. Yeah, it gives you access to rooms and spots that you couldn't get in before.
Secrets, yep. Okay, well, back to what we were talking about, which is our media stuff. We're now on to Marvel. Marvel What If, to be specific. And
What if?
this one features a little-known character you barely ever heard him mentioned by me or Philip at all. It's almost like we don't notice him. Doctor Freaking Strange!
Woo, Doctor Strange!
My favorite Marvel character of all time, and I think one of Philip's.
Yeah, he's my favorite Marvel character.
Yeah, and we get to see what if Doctor Strange didn't lose his hands, he lost his heart. In other words, the woman he loved.
Yeah.
And we get to see Doctor Strange going through and trying to rewrite this one moment in history dozens of times.
Yeah,
we find out that it's a fixed
what happened
moment.
In this version, in this universe, instead of Doctor Strange's hands getting crushed in the car wreck, Rachel McAdams' character
dies.
Yeah, for some reason I'm forgetting her name, the character name.
Yeah,
anyway,
me too.
She's in the car with him when he wrecks his car, and she dies, and he is not injured.
He gets in pretty much unscathed, except for a few cuts and bruises.
Yeah,
but his hands are fine. His money is fine.
It sends him on the journey that leads him to becoming a sorcerer, just like the other times, and he defeats Dormammu. But then he's tempted by the Time Stone to go back and correct that time to save her life.
And he attempts it dozens of times.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work. And he finds out it's a fixed moment in time.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to be
It's a Groundhog Day kind of a part. It's a kind of a Groundhog Day part where every time he does something to save her, she dies a different way. Takes a different route. Truck hits him. He doesn't pick her up. The building she's in catches on fire.
They don't go to the benefit and have pizza instead. She has a heart attack, or a mugger comes in and shoots her. You know, something always happens. So she always dies because that fixed moment in time demands it. And he comes to find out that, it is a fixed moment in time. So now he goes on a journey to find the Library of Cagliostro. Cagliostro, of course, is a famous historical sorcerer. In fact, tributes to Cagliostro were seen on the walls of Rasputin's chamber. And mentions of Cagliostro are throughout the dramaturgical arts history. So it's very much linking the Marvel Cinematic Universe to the real world universe and linking up. It'd be like mentioning Aleister Crowley or the Mad Arab,
Yeah.
actual historical figures that were supposedly proponents of magic. And in fact, anime has done some separate stuff with Cagliostro and stuff too. Um, but anyway, uh, that's the thing, and
Yeah, so
we
Doctor
have
Strange uses the time stone.
to get to
The Ancient
Cagliostro's
One shows
area.
up, and she tries to stop him, and instead of stopping him, she blasts him as he uses the time stone to travel back in time again, and he finds
Library of
the lost
Cagliostro,
library of Cagliostro,
and
and there's a guy there guarding it,
yeah, the library keeper
and
of the Library of Cagliostro.
yeah, and he doesn't admit it. He says his name is Obing, but Obing in the comics is one of the names that Cagliostro went by. So he is actually Cagliostro. He just doesn't
Even though he
admit
specifically
it.
says, "No, I'm not Cagliostro." He says, "I'm not," because
Yeah,
right now I'm currently Obing. Later on, I might be
exactly.
Cagliostro, but right now I'm not.
Yeah, and in this episode, he even says, whenever Strange asks him if where he could find him, he's like, "Oh, here,
Could be here,
there,
could be there, could be
nowhere."
nowhere.
Yeah,
He says, "Oh, you're an obscurus. Great."
yeah.
Last thing he likes is those
No, he's like he called him a cryptic. Oh, you're
a
a
cryptic,
cryptic.
right? I don't know why I said an
Yeah.
obscurus. You're a cryptic. Oh, great. Because there's always those mystics out there that decide to go that cryptic route because they can never tell you a straight story. And he was
Yeah,
one of them, boy. But he
yeah,
finds out that no single sorcerer has the power to overcome a fixed moment in time. However, they could combine their power with the power of other practitioners of magic in order to exceed the power level required to overcome the fixed point in time. So his
yep,
next step is to go out and start asking other mystical beings to grant him the power. Well, other magical beings aren't going to give up their power. It's not how this thing works.
no,
So then he learns that he goes out to take the magical power from the other beings, and we see him going around becoming basically public enemy number one in the magic world. And
yeah,
he even absorbs like a freaking Shoggoth demon type thing,
yeah.
the tentacle
He
horror.
first he first absorbs like a gnome, basically, like a little gnome creature. First he absorbs it, and then he absorbs something bigger and bigger and bigger. Um, Making himself more and more powerful, absorbing all these mystical creatures from other, realms and whatnot.
Right. And then we come to find out that the great one, the great old one,
The
uh,
ancient one.
the ancient one, she went and split him in a single timeline. So
Yeah.
as not to corrupt or create 1,000 branches of a timeline. And he became the corrupt version of Strange. But it also meant that he never quite had the power, even with all the power he took, to break the fixed moment in time because
Yeah,
he
he
needed
was
the other
missing a
half of
part of himself.
himself. So he couldn't
Yeah.
really truly wield the power.
And he
And
spent centuries. I don't know if you caught that. He spent centuries here at the library absorbing other creatures, absorbing other
yes, he did
mystical
mention
creatures to make himself
centuries
stronger.
there. And he finally, uh, we see the other half of Doctor Strange go out into the world, and he sees people actually dissolving in front of his very eyes because the whole system of time is breaking down. because of what his alternative is doing. And so then he ends up getting into an epic battle with basically Dark Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Which
It was
is
pretty
one
cool,
of the
the two
episodes
Doctor
people have been
Strange
looking
fighting
for.
each other.
A lot of people have been looking forward to the Dark Doctor Strange. Well, we got him.
Yeah.
And near the end, even when all else is lost, he appealed to the Watcher to intervene. Because he says, well, you're a god, aren't you? And the Watcher turned to him and says, I am not a god, and neither are you.
Yeah. Well,
And
so
if
the
I
Dark
could
Doctor Strange beats the other Doctor Strange and absorbs him, and now he has his whole self, and he uses it to save, God, what
her,
was her name? I'll
he
just call her
uses it to
Rachel
save
since
her.
that's the actress's name. Yeah, he saves
Rachel,
her. Christine. That's her name. So
he
he
uses
uses
her
it
to
to save
save
Christine.
Christine, but then the world starts breaking down around him.
Yeah.
It's like, well, shoot, you can't win for losing here.
Yeah, and he was warned. He was warned multiple times that
Multiple
breaking a
times.
fixed
The Ancient
point
One told him
would destroy the universe.
specifically, yeah.
Yeah. And then as the universe is collapsing around him,
He's trying
and
to protect
he sees
Christine.
the Watcher watching, and he's like, I've seen you before. You're a god. You can do something. You need to fix this. And the Watcher's like, I'm not a god, and neither are you, and I cannot interfere. I can't intervene.
I went down the wrong
and
tube.
and the Watcher just watches as the universe
Well, and the
collapses in
Watcher
on
also
Strange.
said, even if I could, I wouldn't.
Yeah. He's like, I couldn't, and even if I could, I wouldn't.
Because you should live
And,
through this folly because you were warned multiple times, basically.
Yeah.
And that's just it. You can be the most powerful sorcerer in the world, but if you won't heed a warning, it's your own fault.
Yeah. So we see it all collapse down to just a pinpoint of, universe is all that's left behind before credits roll.
And then,
So
that's what if this week.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing we would normally cover is Titans, but I have to admit it's been almost a full week since the newest episode dropped, and I've forgotten most of what's happened.
What's that? Oh, Titans?
Yeah. And so... Plus, we're over our time by 17 minutes anyway.
Yeah. I'll just describe really quick. The big thing is we found out, the history about how Red Hood, how Robin had, been benched as Robin before. Most of the episode was like prequel story. It took place before the current events. And before he died, before he was killed by Joker. Yeah. Most of the episode took place before before Todd was killed by the Joker. And it's him struggling with fear. Yeah. I was about that, say Tim Drake. Jason Todd, he was afraid, and so he went to the Scarecrow and made a deal with Scarecrow to help him develop a serum to make him not afraid, which was a stupid decision.
No, because we need fear. Fear is a part of our makeup that keeps us from doing stupid shit.
And that's why he was willing to go after the Joker on his own, because of the serum he'd been taken from the Scarecrow that made him not afraid. He wasn't scared of Joker, and he went on to fight him, and that's how he died. And then Scarecrow had him put into a Lazarus pit to bring him back to life. And
which is the
that's kind of the
primary resurrection method in the DC universe. Is usually that
at least when it comes to anyone related to Batman.
Yep.
Or the League of Assassins. I say that knowing that's what they did. Yeah, and I say that with the knowledge of they did that a lot in the Green Arrow show. But as we discussed before, that's really the Green Batman show.
It's Batman with a bow.
So,
it's Batman meets Robin Hood.
The Emerald Batman.
Yes.
So that's the biggest takeaway of the new episode of Titans is we now know the whole story of how Robin, what the chemical was that Robin was making, because Scarecrow couldn't craft it on his own. He was stuck in prison, but he told him the formula, and then Robin studied chemistry and figured out how to make it. Learned how to understand the formula and made the stuff.
Right.
Oh. And the deal was Scarecrow would teach him how to create this serum in exchange for telling him everything about Batman, telling him who he really is, how he trained, etc., everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to know all about Batman. That was the deal. So now I was sympathetic to Jason Todd before. Now I kind of hate him.
Right.
Like, I was like, poor guy got, he was foolish. He got careless and died because of his carelessness, and that sucks. And now he's been brought back to life and is losing his mind. But now I know he was already, in my opinion, losing his mind before if he was going to go to Scarecrow and give away all their secrets just to not be afraid.
Look at who's joined me. My kitty.
Yeah. So, anyway, yeah, that was me. I don't think we even saw anyone else other than a little bit of Batman because of the time period, and
that was it. Mostly it.
Yeah, I don't think we saw any other Titans this episode. Oh, we saw Donna Troy briefly when Robin was dead. There was a scene with Robin dead, and in like this afterlife kind of state, he was talking to the dead Donna Troy, and she's like, "You shouldn't be here," or something like that. I don't know. Before he came back to life because of the Lazarus Pit. And that pretty much sums up Titans for this episode. It was. I'd say this episode of Titans was an important episode, but not a terribly exciting episode. You know what I mean?
I couldn't
You
hear
all right there, Doc?
Yeah, the cat bumped my freaking headphones off my head.
Oh!
Butting my head to try to get more pets. It was like, and there goes my headphones. I was like, dang it.
That is hilarious.
I told you I was being attacked by a kitty.
Yeah. So anyway, that pretty much sums it up. I was just saying that this was an important episode, if not necessarily a terribly enthralling
it's a
episode.
Flashback episode, which is important to some.
Yeah.
And to some of us, it's
yeah.
It's like I'll probably get more from it when I marathon through the season again.
It revealed to us things that we needed to know to move forward.
Right.
But it didn't move forward the story.
Right.
So.
Now, coming up next week, we've got our regular batch of shows. Of course, we get a new Titan tomorrow. We'll get a new Legends of Tomorrow on Sunday. We'll get a new Supergirl and Stargirl for Tuesday, so we can watch them on Wednesday. Same thing with a new What If. Legend of the Ten Rings, Shang-Chi will be out Friday.
Oh, yeah.
But it
not
is
on
a
Disney Plus Premiere.
Only release.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
theater only release.
Chances are I will not get to see it.
It will release on Disney Plus 45 days later.
From now. And I don't know if we want to wait 45 days to review it. I might have to see about seeing if I can find a friend that wants to go to the movie theater with me.
Yeah. Allie was saying that she'd like to see it, but she wants to watch it in the middle of the day during the middle of the week, like on a Monday or a Tuesday. But that doesn't work with my work schedule.
Right.
So I can't.
What we might have to do is
she and I might have to watch it separately.
Right.
She might have,
and if
have
that's
to go
the
during
case,
the week
maybe
while I'm
I'll
working.
go with you. Just because I know you more than I know Allie, even though I could probably work on her schedule too.
Yeah.
But no, I'd probably go with you. And then Allison would have to probably see it separately. I don't even know if she's that interested. She's not a big martial arts person. Uh, but I want to see it, and I'm glad
The
it's not Premier Access because I didn't really
the
want to
most
pay Premier Access.
the most recent ad I saw for it showed another shot of Wong with him like talking to somebody. I don't know who he's talking
Yeah,
to.
there's been some great shots too. The Abomination with Tim Roth is
Yeah.
really going to be interesting. So I'm looking forward to Shang-Chi. We've got Eternals coming up. We've got Spider-Man No Way Home coming up.
Yeah.
We've got
Oh man.
so
Venom,
much
Let There
in the
Be
works.
Carnage.
Venom, Let There Be Carnage, which may or may not get delayed. We got Mobius, which may or may not get delayed again.
Yeah. The last news I saw about Venom was that it wasn't getting delayed.
Right, but you never know until it releases.
Yeah. I got a new tattoo this since our last episode, but it's still healing in that scabby phase, so it's not like ready to
not
show off yet.
presentable.
But it's the supernatural the anti-demon possession tattoo.
Oh, speaking of supernatural, I'm up in Smallville to the part where where Jensen Ackles, the season where Jensen Ackles is in it.
The Green Arrow of that show?
No, Jensen Ackles isn't the Green Arrow. He's
hang on.
He's Lana's boyfriend while Clark starts to slowly drift towards going with Lois. Because it's the first season that Lois is introduced. So he hasn't quite attached himself to Lois yet. But he dates that one teleporter for a little bit who becomes like freaking Glenn Close stalker chick. And then
I didn't remember. You know what? Actually, I don't remember him.
He plays their assistant
Smallville.
football coach in Smallville for a little bit.
Ah.
And he's Lana's boyfriend that she met when she went overseas to Paris.
I didn't know who Jensen Ackles was when I watched Smallville.
Well, just like the two main characters from Vampire Diaries were both in Smallville at different times too, playing different characters. Jonathan Taylor Thomas has been in there. Sean Ashmore's been there. There's so many people that have been part of the Superman universe through either the Dean Cain series or Smallville or what have you. I mean, Margot Kidder is in this for a little bit as a scientist. But the other thing I was going to say about Jensen Ackles is I was looking it up to see where he is and what he's doing next. And he is supposed to be in the third season of The Boys when it comes out, playing Soldier Boy.
Soldier Boy.
So I'm looking forward to that because I like Jensen Ackles. And I would like to see what else he does. I actually like him a little bit better than I like Jared Padalecki. Although I guess they're like best friends in real life. So, Anyway, so we've got a whole lot of stuff coming out still. Still some other shows that haven't quite released yet, like The Boys Season 3. Doom Patrol Season 3 comes out near the end of this month. At some point in time, the Constantine live action, the new one is supposed to come out. At some point, we're supposed to get the She-Hulk series. At some point, we're going to get that. At some point, we're going to get another. We've got a whole bunch where we don't have exact release dates. We've got Armor Wars to look forward to. We've got
that's going to be a ways away, I think.
We've got Blade, the series, I think, supposed to come out. We got so much, and a lot of it's going to be 2022 and even maybe into 2023. We got Eternals coming out soon, and the new
Eternals is in November.
And the latest preview trailer of that was amazing. I can't wait till we have a full No Way Home trailer, because this is only considered a long teaser, and this long teaser has got a lot of information in it. There's all kinds of speculation about who's going to be the members of the Sinister Six, who's that sixth member. Is it going to be the
Yeah.
Vulture? Is it going to be Surprise Venom? Is it going to be Mysterio, mysteriously back from the dead? Is it going to be Kraven the
I was even
Hunter?
thinking it could. I was even thinking it could be Chameleon disguising
Chameleon
himself
is on
as
the
someone
list.
else.
Well, Chameleon is on the list of speculation from Nerdist because in Far From Home, the bus driver in the show, the name they give for the character bus driver was the alias, the human alias of Chameleon. So Chameleon has been hinted at too. So Chameleon is a possibility. Of course, we are almost sure that we're going to get Green Goblin. We know for a fact we're going to get Melina's Doc Octopus. We
Yeah.
know for a fact it was confirmed we're going to get Jamie Foxx's Electro. We
Yeah.
suspect that Sandman is going to be there. There's
Yeah.
rumors that it could be Rhino or Scorpion because they've both kind of appeared in mech armor.
Did Scorpion show up in one of the others?
Yeah, Scorpion has showed up in one of them in mech armor, and Rhino has showed up in mech armor.
I remember Rhino. I
yeah.
don't remember
In
Scorpion.
the last time we saw the guy playing Scorpion, we didn't see him in his armor. We saw him in prison with the Vulture, and he had his Scorpion tattoo, and he was telling the Vulture how he was going to get together a group of villains to beat Spider-Man.
We've never seen Scorpion in a suit. We've only...
Well, I think we have seen it because they showed a flashback of him in the suit in the Nerdist episode I was watching too. So we have seen him in a suit, but it's very briefly.
Oh.
Also, I watched a new Easter egg thing today that pointed out that the suit and tie that Tom Holland is wearing in the preview in one episode before he puts on the Spider outfit is the same suit and tie that Tobey Maguire wore in the Doc Octopus movie with Spider-Man. And they also pointed out that, of course, when Richard Molina shows up, he says, "Hi, Peter," like he recognizes him. Yet if he's from an alternate universe, he would never recognize the unmasked version of Tom Holland. He would only recognize Tobey Maguire. So it's yet another hint that we might be at least getting Tobey Maguire, if not Andrew Garfield. Now, personally, I'd rather see Andrew Garfield come back all of them. I think Andrew Garfield would be great. There's even talk about possibly getting the Bruce Campbell version of Mysterio in the Sinister Six from an alternative universe.
Campbell. There's not a Bruce Campbell version of.
Well, the way that rumor goes is because he showed up in the Sam Raimi version of Spider-Man in so many different roles that he was secretly Mysterio. That's one of the fan theories. Because remember, he was the announcer in the Bonesaw battle. Then he was the maitre d' at the restaurant and stuff. Because Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi are such good friends, he shows up in all of Raimi's movies. But in this case, they tried to explain it in the background as maybe he was Mysterio or Chameleon. Because he could be either one of those two and be Master Disguise or Master of Illusion and fit that role. Because they were both supposed to be superior actors. So, who knows? So there's a lot to look forward to. But I think we're going to call it a night here. Thank everybody for watching. Once again, I'm Doc, also known as Gamer Seuss. This is being co-broadcast on my channel and the Springfield Game Expo channel. My co-host that's still with me is Lurch, Philip Landergan, who's part of Left Claw Studios. That's his Twitch channel. Together, we work on the board of directors for Eclectic Endeavors, which brings you the Gaming Arts Media and Entertainment Expo and the Picnic at the End of the Universe, along with our recently departed other co-host, Greg, who will be, again, showing off another game both Thursday and Friday this week on his channel, which is Queen City Cardboard. Now my kitty thinks he's a parrot. He's up on my shoulder. He's a pirate parrot. Say that fast. Pirate parrot, pirate parrot. No. What are you doing, kitty? What are you doing?
All right.
Yeah.
We'll see everybody next time.
No knocking my headphones off again. Okay. Yeah, we'll see everybody next time. Next week, same bat time, same bat channel.
Have a good week, everybody.
You bring your ears, we'll bring the topics. Finish him. Okay. Good night.